right, I need to talk about men and some unique elements about them and women. Men have three primary stewardships according to the family proclamation: preside, provide, protect. In order for us to be successful in those three areas, we need the emotional foundation of confidence and a sense of competence. Women have the stewardship of nurturing according to the family proclamation. And in order to do so, it's really hard to nurture when you feel unsafe or insecure. So their core emotional needs, if you will, are safety and security. So let's walk through for a second of what it looks like when the system is going well. It doesn't really matter where we start. We can start with the women, we can start with the men. It's not really that important. If a man enters an interaction with a woman with a sense of competence and confidence and makes an attempt to preside, provide, protect correctly, he moves his behavior along the circle in this direction. It is a very common response for women to have a nurturing response to that, because when a man enters your space with confidence and competence in presiding, providing, protecting, she has a tendency to feel more safe and secure. So since there are women here, am I reading girl psychology correctly? Okay. Now, again, when you feel safe and secure, does that increase the spontaneous reaction of nurturing? Do you find yourself being more nurturing when you're in the presence of someone like that? Is that a fair assumption? Okay, so she continues the cycle. Brethren, let's talk to you for a second. If you find yourself in the presence of a woman who is nurturing, so if a woman smiles a little bit more at you, has a little bit more sparkly eyes, puts a hand on your shoulder softly, says things like, "You're so cool, and I hope all my sons turn out like you," what does that do to a man's sense of confidence and competence? It has an impact to almost involuntarily increase that sensation. And so the motivation we have to preside, provide, and protect increases. Now, here's what the social scientists will do with this. If a man says, "I feel less like presiding, providing, protecting," they turn to the woman and say, "Well, then you need to be more nurturing." And then if the woman says, "But I feel unsafe and insecure," they turn to the man and say, "Well, then you need to preside, provide, and protect better." So out of one side of the mouth, they're saying, do not be codependent. And on the other side of their mouth, they say, well, your spouse needs to change in order for you to become different. So they actually are reinforcing the codependent cycle by saying your spouse needs to change in order for you to change. Can you see how this can fall apart really fast? And in every case I interview, it always falls apart on accident. I've never met anyone yet who says, "Boy, I would really like to ruin my relationship. I want it to go worse than it's been going." I'm going to start with men first because that's just what I do. So there I am as a man, and I'm finding myself in a marital circumstance, if you will, where I'm not quite sure I know what I'm doing. He does not preside, provide, or protect correctly, even though he was trying to. Or let's say he says something after things didn't go well and says, "Well, if you would be more nurturing, I could probably buy you flowers next year." I hope I'm not pushing anyone's buttons. That's exactly what happened. How did you know that's exactly what happened in my house? So now he said something mean. So this is one of the common ones that I get to run into. In a moment of animal-like psychology, he says something mean. Now her safety and security has been threatened. And you're like, when did I ever threaten your safety and security? I didn't do anything. And what happens to your nurturing instincts, ladies, when your safety and security has been affected? The nurturing goes down. Some of you have never heard my story of the knight in shining armor and the 99 dragons. This is one of my best stories ever. And guys, you will love this story. And ladies, you'll love the end of the story. You may not love the middle of the story. Knight in shining armor. He has a brand new wife, brand new bride. And of course, he's going to be all that and a bag of chips for her. Okay. And she's going to be the best queen ever, best princess ever, whatever she's playing that role. So she's going to be a great wife. As they're hanging out, having a good time, the trumpets sound on the edge of the city. These trumpets only go off when there's dragons coming. Dragons are coming. Okay, what does a knight in shining armor do when dragons are coming? He runs away and hides behind his wife. No, grab their stuff and they say, "Stay here. Be safe. I will go kill all the dragons because I am a presider, provider, and protector." He rides his horse out into the distance. The battle takes place around a mountain range, so she doesn't get to see any of it. How many women actually want to watch men kill dragons? Not very many. It's like, you go kill dragons over there. And this knight in shining armor is killing dragons right and left and right and left and just slaughtering and just doing a great job. And what do men feel every time they kill a dragon? Heroic. What do women feel when they kill dragons? They cry for the baby dragons. They go, oh, I'm so sorry. Anyway, that's why we don't have women killing dragons. After the battle's over and the dust is settling, just like any good warrior would do, he has to walk around and count his dragons, right? We have to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 67, 68, 69. And brethren, imagine that you have successfully killed 99 dragons. Boom, okay? As you're riding your faithful steed back towards the castle, you expect trumpets, fanfare, confetti, a feast. And as you approach the castle, nothing. There's no celebration. There's no excitement. There's no princess throwing her veil or whatever they throw off the balcony so you can catch it and bring it into the house. And you get into the house and one dragon got past you and he's chewing on her leg. Darn dragon, you're still very manly. So you kill the dragon really quick, you chuck it out of there, and then when you go to her, all she ever wants to talk about is the one dragon you missed. She's preoccupied with these teeth marks in her leg. She can't seem to get over it. She gives you zero credit for the 99 dragons you have killed. It's like she's obsessed. Every day she says, well, you missed one of them. Does the woman have a right to be bothered by the one dragon that got through? Ladies?
Yeah, that's the one that most affected her. Like the 99 out there, they weren't bugging her at all. Like, leave them alone. Just pay attention to this one.
Now, what about giving the guy credit for his hard work? Gentlemen, shouldn't we get credit for our hard work? Now, guys, when you were fighting in those 99 dragons, were you ignoring your household? You pretending there were no other dragons?
That's the whole reason why we're out there killing those dragons, is to protect the house.
One of the most agonizing things about being a man is when you actually think you're doing everything as wisely as you can, and a dragon gets past you. And it's a real dragon, and it's a legitimate dragon. Were we out there because we wanted to become famous? No. We actually thought we were doing it right. I wanted to introduce you to this story to experience the agony that both people are experiencing in the story. And this is where Satan plays his best head games. Does he have a right to be frustrated that one dragon got past him? Absolutely. Is that not frustrating, brethren, to work your fanny off all day long and then something gets past you? Even if we're being empathetic, we're still going to be aggravated that it got past us. And does she have a right to be in pain and talk about her pain? Okay, I tell this story in a comical fashion to keep it light, but this is what I see in therapy all the time. This is the kind of story that I see Satan totally exploiting, because it gets worse. Let's talk about what happens next. Now, the princess in the castle, she's trying to forget what happened to her because she's trying to remember that her husband is a noble warrior who wants to get it right. And so he's out there. What does a warrior do? A couple of times a day, he's in the yard practicing, and he's fighting, he's practicing. But because one dragon got past him, when a woman's fear is heightened, she starts looking up on the internet ways to improve a man's soldiering skills. And she finds some really neat workouts that he could do so that a dragon won't get past him next time. And then she tries to find a way to offer the information to the husband in a way that does not offend him or insult him. Now, did you know that when women offer other women ideas like that, the other women actually like it? It's one of the most bizarre phenomena I've ever seen. When a woman offers another woman, and I've been doing some research for you. It's not universal, but they often like it. I want to walk you through this diagram a little closer to show you how Satan exploits this cycle. It is ruthless, and it is cruel, and it is so sneaky, you 90% of the time won't be able to tell that Satan's involved. But I want to give you some exciting news. Once you see the pattern, you can catch him so much faster and overpower it. So remember that confidence is the number one emotional foundational element for men, and safety is the number one emotional motivator for women. As the fear builds in the wrong direction, the ideas and research and then suggestions. Sometimes it even goes even farther than suggestions to commands. At this point in the cycle, we have the satanic interpretation of what she's bringing to the table, and it is called insult. Insult is the opposite of confidence. There's other fancy names for it called you're shaming me, you're making me feel stupid, almost involuntary. Like it happens so fast and so suddenly that sensation is like a kick in the stomach or a brick to the side of the head. If we only think like scientists, then the only explanation for it is the man and his Freudian history. There somebody must have embarrassed him in his elementary school days. Someone must have shamed him when he was in junior high. But if you acknowledge the existence of Satan, isn't the experience of shaming and insulting the best crusher of confidence? This might surprise you, but I've interviewed women and I've walked backwards along this circle here and I've asked them very carefully, at what point were you hoping to embarrass your husband? At what point did you plan to insult him? Did you want him to feel shame? And they're like, never. I didn't want to embarrass him at all. It is so confusing for a woman. And I've seen this so many times when she brings something to the table that is intended to be helpful, and the experience the man has is so confusing that he responds as if he's been insulted. So that's the first satanic attack, unless we talk about the one on the other end of the circle first. Again, chicken or the egg, of which one happens first. Now, brethren, I want to give you the possibility of an empathy experience for what this feels like for the woman that you're in a relationship with, or anybody else. After you feel insult, if Satan has done his job strong enough, and you have a significant chemical reaction, you're going to have an automatic response that doesn't help. Pretend that you've joined a military group and you have a leader that you've got some confidence in and you've decided to give some commitment to. And as you enter a battlefield, all of a sudden, this person who's been your leader starts to attack you, and he starts to fight with you, the very person that's supposed to be on the same team. Or he just runs away. He just gets on his horse and abandons in the middle right as the enemy's coming, or he freezes up and just starts drooling on himself while sitting on his horse. What does that do to your psychology when the person that you've been looking up to as your military leader all of a sudden fights with you, runs away, or freezes up? Can we assume that that would be scary? Not the normal word that men use for such a thing, right? But most women folk, they don't become angry in that moment. They just get scared, and thus we have fear. When there's legit evidence there, Satan will add layers to it. Like, if this is scary, he could also be doing this. He could also be doing that. One of Satan's favorite things to use to scare women is the unknown. Well, you don't know where he's at right now. You don't know that he isn't doing drugs on the side. Satan walks that little tiny line between kind of logical and crazy. So he's not going to suggest things like drowning babies, okay? That's a little too far. But we can see that the ideas of what was suggested were on the edge of possibility, so it could be true. And so when women experience fear at first, they often experience flight, but for some reason they like to stay in the game. And so they re-enter the cycle of, let's do research, let's study what can be done about this, let's get ideas, let's bring the ideas to the men, and then have a stomach panic attack when we know he's going to be insulted again if we give him suggestions. Anyone want to guess how long it takes for both people to get the kick in the stomach in this cycle? 2 seconds or less. And who really should we blame for starting it? Whose fault is it that we got stuck in this? If I'm the man, it's her fault, and if I'm the woman, it's his fault. We don't ever see the sneaky guy in between unless we're watching for him. After carefully reviewing my wife's psychology, this might sound weird, but I find myself married to a woman who never wants to insult me. Like, I asked her, do you sometimes want to insult me? She's like, no. How about occasionally? Would you like to embarrass me? Nope, never. Do you want me to feel stupid sometimes? Because I'm thinking sometimes, occasionally, you want me to feel stupid. And she's nope, I never do. That doesn't make any sense. How can I feel insulted, embarrassed, shamed, and insulted so often, and you're in the room, and you're not the one who caused it? When I finally realized, Maurice, if you feel insulted, Satan is present, because the Holy Ghost will never do that. The Holy Ghost does not inspire me using insult. The Holy Ghost does not inspire me using shame. The Holy Ghost does not inspire me using embarrassment. So for me, brethren, this is easy, because the person I'm in a relationship with, I'm pretty sure the person you're in a relationship with never wants to shame, embarrass, insult, or humiliate you. And ladies, this might surprise you, but the man you're in a relationship never wants to scare you. I've never met a man yet. Sometimes I like to, I got to take that back. I have met a couple guys. You know what? I do like scaring my wife. It's fun for me. If they do say that and they like it, then they need to not be a spouse. Okay, that person needs to go to therapy for a long time. Okay.